In this video, we're going to talk about the heart chakra. So it took me a while to make this video because, the heart chakra is all about love, giving and receiving love. And what is love? It's tricky, right? I think a lot of people think that love is attachment. And so when we're attached to someone and we have this needy, clingy, have to have you in my life, that means love. And that gets tricky, right? Because if someone doesn't show up with that in our life, we think, oh, well, they don't really love me. But what if love is more gentle than that? What if love is actually an experience of just wanting the best for someone? And what if love is like that for us too, wanting the best for ourselves? And when I say the best, I'm not talking about physical things like I need the best car or the best house or the best flashy jewelry, but a sense of peace and a sense of groundedness and a sense of just feeling like everything's all right with the world. And so when I was contemplating this, I was like, okay, love. Do you feel safe enough and worthy enough to receive love? Or are you scared? Are you afraid because in the past, when you tried to be in relationship and you were in this loving relationship and then it hurt you, so you shut down, and now you're afraid of love because you're like, well, love is painful. But I don't think that love is actually the thing that's painful. It's the lack of love that's painful. It's the confusion. It's when someone doesn't have our best interest at heart, and we open up to them and they don't show up as fully as they could or we thought that they would. And so I think for many years, I was looking outside of myself for that love. I was looking for that other person to love me. And if they showed the least bit interest, I would think, oh my God, this is love. I have to hold on to it and I have to grasp at it and hold on to it at all costs because, this means I win. And I think that's the biggest fallacy in these times, is that we think, oh, if I get into a relationship, I win life. And that messes people up so hard. Because what if you get into a relationship and it's bad? And you're like, well, I have to hold on to it because I'm winning life because I'm in this relationship. Even if it's toxic, even if it's abusive, you try and hold on to it because you think, well, at least I'm in a relationship and that means that I'm winning. But it doesn't. I think the true winning at life is self-love and that peace that you have within. Because if you have self-love and peace within, you can be in a relationship or out of a relationship, but it's sustained calm. It's sustained peace. And that goes really far in whatever you're doing, whether it's work, whether it's relationships with a romantic partner or with friends or with people you work with or with the people that you serve in the world. That peace is really important. And if you put your peace in another person, if you put your love into another person and you decide, okay, I'm going to feel peaceful because this other person's loving me. If they don't show up the way that you need them to, or if they are having a bad day, your peace is effed. You know what I mean? Like, you can't put that peace and that love into another person and expect them to show up 100% of the time for you. It's not sustainable. But if you can find that peace within, and if you find your connection to divine source and to your body and to the earth, then you let your partner off the hook. You let other people off the hook. Like, they don't have to be that grounding for you all the time. They don't have to be that battery for your love all the time. And I've been on both sides of it. I've been on both sides. I've been that person who, expected that of other people and just was like, you need to love me and you need to support me, and that's what being a partner is, and like, you just need to give to me because I'm giving to you. Like, that's what a partnership is, isn't it? Isn't that what relationship's all about? And I've also been demanded of from others, like, you're not doing good enough, you're not doing enough. And someone who demanded so much of me in ways that I wasn't able to give, and said, you don't love me because you aren't giving me what I need in very specific ways that were impossible. It was truly impossible, and there was nothing I could do that was good enough. And it's hard when you're in that situation, because you feel like, oh my God, like, I'm trying to do my best and my best isn't good enough. So expecting someone outside of yourself to give you the love that you need in the very specific way that you need it is insane. It's insane. And that might not sound like a very romantic idea of love, but like, think about it. You know what I mean? So if you can show up for yourself and feel safe enough to receive love from divine source, and cultivate that relationship with your divine and your body, like, that's where you practice. So because my lessons this lifetime were about love, 100%. I don't know if that's everybody else's lessons, but for me, it's been solid. I had to learn. I was like, I'm afraid to open to love. I'm afraid because love hasn't been here for me. You know, my dad left when I was 3. Like, I was in all of these crazy relationships, but I think it stemmed from that sense of not feeling worthy of love. Like, love not showing up for me, love going away. And I didn't trust in God. I didn't trust in myself. I didn't trust in love. Like, I was scared and alone a lot of my life. Like, I felt like, well, this is it. Like, it's just me. What do I do? So it took many years for me to feel safe enough to open up to love and to trust that it was okay. And even today, like, I think trusting other people to love me and to show up in the ways that I needed, I'm not really sure. What I am sure about is when I open up to divine source, when I say beautiful things to my body will soften and open. And it's a consistent daily thing, like showing up for yourself in a loving, kind, gentle way allows your body to open and soften. But it takes a while. Like, it takes a while for your body to trust you. It takes a while for you to establish that self-love relationship. And a lot of people think, oh, like that's selfish, but your body is going to be with you your whole life. This is your first primary relationship. And if you neglect your body and your relationship with self for another person, eventually what's going to happen is that you start depending on that other person for your energy, for your love, for your sustenance, and they will get tired and overwhelmed, and you will feel abandoned. But the abandonment is not about that other person. The abandonment is you feeling your body, feeling the abandonment that you left your body, that you decided that someone outside of yourself was more important than you. And this is what I realized for a long time, because I would feel abandoned and alone even in relationship. And I was like, this is weird. Like, why? I'm in a relationship. Why do I feel abandonment? Why do I feel alone? And it wasn't because of the other person. It was because I had abandoned myself. I had left myself, and I wasn't giving myself the love and attention that I needed. And the truth be told, like, someone said a really mean thing about me a long time ago, and they're like, she's like a black hole. And he said that because he had experienced a relationship with someone that he identified was like me, and he didn't really know me, but it stuck with me, and I was like, why am I a black hole? Like, I'm always giving, I'm always trying to heal people, I'm always trying to, people please. Like, why am I a black hole? And what I realized was, even though I did all of those things, I was always looking for someone to do them to me, to show up for me, to love me. And I realized it was never enough. And there is an amount of love that I need that can only be filled by me, that could only be filled by Divine Source. And Divine Source is infinite love. So if you can tap into Divine Source, that love can come to you and flow through you and to you and sustain you. But we get tricked in relationships, because what happens is we get with this other person and we feel safe enough to open. And when we open fully and we feel safe enough to open fully and completely, we open up to Divine Source, and it starts flowing through us at a rate that we haven't experienced in a long time. And so we think that other person is supplying us with this love, when in fact they just give us an excuse to feel safe enough to open up to our divine channel, And it's also easier when someone else is there. Like, when someone else is with you, your energy field gets stronger, because it's there's two energy fields together, and that kind of gets multiplied. And so that's why you feel stronger when you're around someone else. It's like this amplification of your energy field. And if you're not a grounded person, if your energy field is lacking the strength that it needs, because you haven't focused on grounding yourself, that feels like, oh, okay, this is right. Like, this feels like the way it's supposed to be. But again, that other person that you're with isn't always going to be able to be there to ground you. So you got to figure out how to do it yourself and reconnect to Divine Source. So when we feel this love and this absolute, like, amazing feeling of connection and divine love, we think it's because of that other person. And so when they go away, we're like, oh my God, like, I've just lost my connection to Divine Source. I just lost my connection to God. And basically that's what it feels like. It feels like the best connection to God that you've ever had. When you get into that, like, truly loving partnership, when like during really intimate times, like you just open up your heart and everything just opens. So it feels like that. And that's why people will stay in relationship longer than they should if it's not a healthy one, because they've experienced that feeling and they think, oh my God, like I'm never going to feel that way again. And the truth is, it is possible. And it's possible to feel that way by yourself, actually. When I got out of a really, really bad relationship, I was very unsettled, and life was very uncertain and unsure for a long time. And I just started to try and figure out, like, what is it that I need? What is it? How can I get back to love again? And I started doing some research and studying the I am presence. And the I am presence is it's in a lot of different literature, but basically it's like above you, like maybe, I don't know, in the images and stuff that I've seen, it's like 2-3 feet above your head. And it's like the personality transcription for God, basically. And so, like, a lot of different religions talk about this in a lot of different ways, like the I am presence, or Christ consciousness, or like your guardian angel. Like, there's a lot of different people that talk about it different ways. I called it my divine lover because I needed to have a sense of what it was like to have a perfect partner. And so I was practicing, and I would practice sending love up to this divine lover, this consciousness, this I am consciousness, or Christ consciousness, whatever. And then it would send it back down to me in equal measure, right? So I would send it up, and then it would send it back down. And so all this love I had pent up, and I just wanted to give somebody, but it would be overwhelming for a person. I would send up to divine consciousness, it would come back down, and I would sing it love songs and everything that I wanted to do with my perfect partner. I would send that energy up, and it would send it back down to me. So I was practicing what it was like to receive love the way that I gave love. Yeah. And it's sometimes opening up to love is scary because you equate love with pain, right? And so it's about unraveling that and going, okay, wait, love is love. And even though I've experienced pain in the past when I was in loving relationships, it doesn't have to be that way. You don't have to experience pain with love. It doesn't have to be interwoven. You can just experience love. And so I would practice that every day. And people ask, well, how do you love yourself? And for me, it was I needed it to look that way. I needed to have someone to talk to. Like, when I would feel afraid, I would tap into that and be like, hey, I love you. It's okay. And what I realized, and this might seem like it's going all over the place, and that's because love is really messy, right? There's so many layers to it. But what I realized about, like, the parts of me that felt sad or alone or lonely were oftentimes younger parts of myself. So they could have been parts of myself from when I was very young, or you could look at it as we're divine consciousness, infinite consciousness. When this body dies, we go on, and our consciousness goes into something else. So when you feel fear, when you feel alone or anxious, sometimes it's the body, which is very young. It's not infinite like we are. It's a finite thing. And so it could be a younger part of yourself or your body. Whatever it is, you need to tap into that part of you that is infinite and that knows, and comfort that part. Comfort that younger part of yourself and say, hey, like, I'm with you. It's okay. I love you. And everything's going to be okay. I think, a lot of times we want someone outside of ourselves to say, hey, like, I'm here with you. Everything's going to be all right. And truly, like, that is a gift if you can find someone like that to really love and support you in that way. But if you can't, it's about self-parenting. And it's about giving yourself that love that you didn't get from your parents because maybe they didn't know how to give it to you. And they didn't know how to give it to you in the ways that you needed. Maybe they loved you the best they could, but it wasn't always the way that you needed to be loved. And so as you tap in now, as this person that you are now, and you say, hey, like, I'm here for you. And tell yourself all those things that you wished that your parents would have said to you, that you wished that a partner would have said to you. They don't know, they're not you, but you're you, and you've grown up with you your whole life. So you know what you need to hear. You know those exact words that you've been waiting to hear. And we think that we've been waiting to hear them from another person, but we've actually been waiting to hear them from our own lips, our own voice. And so really tune into yourself and be like, hey, I love you. It's okay. I'm proud of you for getting through this. It's all right. I'm going to be here with you. It's okay. And as you start seeing these words and really showing up for yourself in those times of struggle, in the times when you feel sad and lonely, something starts to shift. And you start feeling less needy and less clingy and less like trying to find that in the outside world. You become more self-contained and stronger. And relationships are awesome, but if you can show up in a relationship where you can self-soothe and have parented yourself and you're not looking outside of yourself for that, mommy or daddy that you never had, it changes the game in a relationship, because that person can come up and just be a partner to you, and you guys can have fun together, and they don't have to take care of you. It's great to take care of your partner, but when it becomes almost like a parental situation where they have to take care of you like a parent would, or you have to take care of them like a parent would, it changes the dynamic of a relationship and what it's supposed to be about. Because your partner's not supposed to be your parent. It's about growing together. It's about having a plan together and working through life together and building that life together, And this is my interesting point of view. I mean, whatever relationship you have, if it works, then it works for you. But, it always comes back down to me when people come to me for relationship advice. And I say, I don't know necessarily what it's like to be in a long-term healthy relationship. What I do know is how to come back to yourself and how to love yourself. And if you have that skill of coming back to yourself and loving and nurturing yourself, you'll be solid in or out of a relationship. And so you don't have to wait your lifetime for that one person who's going to love you and make, all your pieces merge together. You can come to a relationship as a whole being. And when that happens, like when you're a whole person going into a relationship, then you can like rise together in love. But I think there's a lot of people that are coming from a really young place, looking to be reparented by other people. And that's why it's really important to reparent yourself. And just in case I wasn't clear about what reparenting yourself looks like, it is about talking to those places in your body, like tuning into those places in your body when you feel sad, when you feel scared, when you feel anxious. Tuning into them and saying, hey, I know you're scared. I know you're afraid, and I am here with you. And I'm going to walk you through this, and we're going to do this together. And I'm proud of you for coming this far and doing what it takes to be this brave, to be where you are right now. And just being gentle and patient with yourself. Know that you can't just do this once and then be all, why am I not enlightened yet? How come I'm not fixed? Because I told myself one time that it was going to be okay. Loving yourself is a lifetime. It's a lifetime journey. And honestly, and I've gotten flack for this before, but it's like every other relationship that you're in, it's you're having a 3-way, well, 4-way. So it's your relationship with God, your relationship with your body, your relationship with, this being that you are, and then another person. I think it was Bjork. She's like, someone asked her, do you ever feel alone? She's like, I feel like I'm in an orgy with life all the time. And I thought about that, and I'm like, that's kind of true, because the amount of things that we have to connect to and nurture and love, like there's a lot going on, and I'm never bored. Someone's like, oh, are you bored? I'm like, no, I've got so much to do. Loving myself is a full-time job, and connecting and meditating and just doing all it takes to be a human. It's a lot. And I think you'll find that loving yourself changes the game. And then you're not grasping, you're not seeking, you're not clinging. It's just you and your body, you and God, the universe, you and this planet. And it causes you to stop and look around. Go out into nature and sit up against a tree and just breathe and experience what it's like to just be in this body. Experience the energy in the tree and experience breathing up from the ground and feel the wind across your skin. Feel the sun on your skin. We've gotten so far away from nature and our body and what we're actually here to do. And what we're here to do is experience life. I don't think at the end of anyone's life they were like, yay, I had that awesome car. Like, it's about the experiences that we have with other people. It's about feeling that love and being open and brave enough to open up to love. It can be a painful place, this planet, but it can also be a loving, nurturing, beautiful place, you know? And so find those places that are scared, that feel alone, that feel anxious, and just breathe into them and just say, you are safe and you are loved and I love you so much, you know? And especially do that in this heart center. And feel what it's like in the back, so in between your shoulder blades, you know, in the rear aspect of your heart. You know, what does that feel like? Does it feel tense? Do you feel like, oh my gosh, you're protecting your heart? If so, just continue to relax and breathe into it and allow it to open. You know, this heart chakra is the bridge between the lower and the upper chakras that gets in the center. And so that's why this is probably the longest video, because it is a lot. It's a lot to take in, but if you can learn how to receive love and how to give love without, sometimes we try to do receiving, which if you do that, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You try and like take receiving love, and you're like, you need to love me in a certain way. But even if they love you in that certain way, you can't receive it. Receiving is about being vulnerable, and it's about being open. And so as you do that, as you open up and you become vulnerable to yourself and divine source, it becomes easier to open up and be vulnerable with other people. And if you need a well, what I've learned is this: I didn't want to open up to people because I was afraid that I was going to open up to jerky people. Because I've had a lot of those kinds of relationships in my life. But what I realized is when you're in divine love, you're in divine flow, you are opening up to that connection with divine source, and you're in gratitude for all of that love, and you're sending, giving, and receiving divine source energy, your vibration raises. And when you're in a higher vibration, you attract higher vibrations of people. But if you go out into the world and you're sad and you feel lonely and you feel scared and you're like, I just want to find someone so that I can feel better, you are going to attract that lower frequency of person. And that could be a very painful relationship. So have a relationship with yourself first. Open up to that divine source love and practice with divine source. You know, practice going into those places in your body and loving them open. You know, give yourself that love that you never got from outside of yourself. And as you do, as you love yourself that fully and that completely, you will attract people into your life that will love you at that level. But it starts with you. And it's a game changer. It's definitely a game changer. So thanks for tuning in to this longer video. And I'll see you in the next video about the throat chakra.